Hello, hello. Welcome back to another episode of this season of Red Storm Reel. I'm your host, Joe Acerno.
And I'm Eric Ferrari. Today we're being joined by a special guest,
Daniel Villavicencio.
With the midterm elections coming up, we're going to be discussing political-themed films with our What's the Reel, and then we're going to be reviewing the new Halloween movie.
Keeping with the political theme, we're also going to be previewing The Frontrunner and Vice.
All right, so let's get into What's the Reel. Daniel, you're the first, you're the guest here, so you're the first victim. So what do you got for us?
All right. This movie takes place in England under a fascist government and involves...
V for Vendetta.
Yes.
I love that movie.
All right, Eric, you're up.
Okay, so this was, I think in like the 90s, it's like this guy is a president, and he has a romance with...
The American president.
Yep.
All right, let's see. This is a Ron Howard film starring Frank Langella. It's about the interviews between David Frost and Richard Nixon. It has that famous line from Nixon saying, I believe when the president does it, that means it's not illegal.
It's not Nixon.
No, it's not Nixon, no.
It's too easy.
I don't think I know this one.
You don't know this one?
I don't think I do.
You're going to be so mad when I tell you what this
I'm
is.
probably going to know the title, but I don't know this
You're
movie.
going to be so twisted.
What is it?
Frost Nixon.
Frost Nixon. Oh, okay.
No,
I did not know that one.
Frost
No.
and that's it.
Okay.
All right, Daniel, want to go again?
Yeah, sure. So this movie stars Denzel Washington and
Manchurian
Julia
Candidate?
Roberts.
No, sorry.
Julia Roberts. And the name has the name of a bird in it.
What?
What's it about? I don't know this one.
I don't know this one either.
Yeah, sorry. What is it?
Pelican Bay.
Oh, okay.
I never would have guessed that in a million years,
Okay.
so
Yeah.
bravo.
So this movie just came out very recently. It was Brad Pitt is like a military dude. It's like a satire on like war today.
Oh, man.
Came out on
that
Netflix
movie.
Oh,
very recently.
No.
No.
That's... Yeah.
I think it came out like last year or something.
Is it Warlord? No. Is it?
You don't got it?
No, all right. I'm
War
gonna
Machine.
War Machine. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. It was this
Close. You were close. You're close. And last one.
All right, last one. Okay, this follows the plot to take down the terrorists who murdered the Israeli Olympic team at the 1972 Olympics in Europe. I believe it's in Germany. It's a Steven Spielberg film, and it's all I can say is it's just amazing. It's just awesome. I loved it. What else can I say about it?
Got any more? Sorry.
Has Eric Bana in it. It has Jeffrey Rush in it.
I don't think I know this one.
You don't know this one?
No.
Munich.
Munich. Oh, okay.
Steven Spielberg's most underrated film, guaranteed.
Okay. All right. Well, after What's the Reel, we're gonna move on to reviewing Halloween.
Yeah.
Okay. So, what did you guys think about this movie? I don't know.
I mean, here's the thing. Like I said in the last episode, I watched the original very recently. So I can't say, as much as I like the original, I don't know if I can say I have the same attachment towards it as, say, like, someone like you who told me, like, oh, you gotta see this movie, like, 5,000 times. So, but as far as this film, I thought it was good. I definitely had a good time watching it. I felt like it took a little bit to get started. But once it got going, it really got going. And I thought that Jamie Lee Curtis was very strong in her performance. And, you can see just based on that this is a character who's obviously still very much haunted by the trauma that she went through decades ago.
Okay.
So honestly, I thought this was a lot of fun overall. But yeah, no, I highly recommend this one.
Definitely, just like Joe, I hadn't seen the original, and I actually saw it after I saw the new one on Friday. And yeah, I love the parallel between Allison and Jamie Lee Curtis's character Laurie.
Oh yeah, the granddaughter. Yeah. Okay.
That was great.
Yeah.
Also, a big difference in this movie is the comedy factor. And I don't know, how did you guys feel about that?
I actually hated this movie. I thought it was. I thought it failed on every level as a horror movie.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was a twist I did not see coming.
Yeah, I thought it was really an awful movie. Serious.
I can't say
Because it was written like it was a comedy, and they had so much comedy in it. Like there was so many jokes, and it just ruined it for me. And like, but like it was written like it was a comedy, but then it was like dedicated to still being a serious horror movie, which didn't work at all. I thought all the death scenes were like they were very boring. There was no build up. Like you didn't see Michael Myers didn't like stalk any. Like he like creeps up on people and stuff, and then he like kills them, and then he pins them up like a scarecrow or something like that.
Yeah, like.
But like this one, he just like goes in and kills somebody and then leaves, and that's it. And there's no build up and there's no suspense, and they're making jokes leading up to it. I thought technically the movie was bad too. Like the dubbing was horrible. There were several scenes where I noticed that you could see like that dialogue didn't match up with what they were saying. I also didn't like the camera work either. It seems like people's heads were cut off, or like it was just claustrophobic. I felt.
I mean, as far as technical, I can't say I noticed anything wrong with that. I mean, but as far as like the comedy, it's weird that you're saying like there's so much comedy in it. I didn't feel like the comedy was overbearing. It felt like I felt like it was barely there.
I felt like it was.
I just didn't
every
notice.
single scene felt like.
I felt like it was very
didn't feel
present, but I didn't think it was
Like, it was
intentional as much. Because like there were a lot of things that weren't supposed to be funny that were hilarious. Like the first scene in the bus.
That's bad.
Where the doctor says, "Don't shoot." I died.
That was so
funny.
That was funny. Yeah.
I feel like that's something you'd catch on like Impractical Jokers.
I also
like
thought the script in general was besides like being too funny. I thought it was just very, very strange. Like none of the characters seemed to make a whole lot of decisions that made sense or say things that made sense for them to say. And they also like introduced I thought it had like a bloated cast, and they would also
They did have a lot of characters.
They had so many
lot of
characters, and they would just
yes.
introduce characters, and then they would just forget about them. Like there was the whole thing
they
where
die right away.
Laurie's Jamie Lee Curtis's character's granddaughter has like a boyfriend, and he gets a ton of lines. He's in like a family dinner scene. There's like a high school dance scene or whatever, and like they have like a whole lot of drama built up between the two of them, and then you just don't see him again ever. And they do that with like a bunch of different characters. And on top of that, also, I thought the whole thing with Michael Myers and Laurie was kind of weird because like they're in all the advertisements and stuff, they're drumming it up like it's gonna be like the final showdown between these two, but like. This one retcons everything in the entire series except for the first one. So we're just looking at Halloween from like 1978, I think, and this one. And between those two movies, like Michael Myers has no interest in her whatsoever. The only reason he even attempts to kill her is because he happens to be like in the same vicinity.
She's in his way.
Yeah, like it's not even like, oh, she got away from me last time, I'm gonna get her this time. Like in this movie, he doesn't even pursue her at all until like he's physically brought to her location and like pointed in her direction. You know?
Yeah.
Like he's just randomly killing people, and I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, definitely a mixed bag on reactions here. I didn't, like I said, I didn't see that coming. All right. So the next movie we're going to be previewing is The Frontrunner, and this is based on the true story of Gary Hart, who was a Democratic presidential candidate in 1988, and he was basically called the Frontrunner because they thought he had a very good shot at winning until he gets involved in I believe it was a sex scandal with
I think so, yeah.
where there was an alleged sex scandal. So, what are your guys' thoughts on this movie?
Well,
what do you think?
I love anything with Hugh Jackman, I gotta say. And I tell you, this whole scandal, this whole like affair scene, it really looks like he brings a lot to it. And I feel like, because there's not like a tremendous cast, like as well as like known actors.
Like some noticeable faces, but nothing like.
But I feel
star-studded.
like Hugh Jackman's really great for kind of bringing people's strengths out and like kind of working with them, playing on them. So I think anyone acting as a supporting actor in this movie is going to do a really good job.
I also think that this movie, it looks a little bit smaller than like a lot of other big political dramas
Yes.
about like a huge like a huge like government conspiracy or whatever. This one just seems kind of very personal to this individual who you don't like hear a lot about, and it seems like it's a smaller movie that might get more into like all the different like personal drama of all the characters that I think will be more compelling than maybe like. Here's all the papers and like facts and things like that. Not that isn't compelling, but I like seeing the individuals, like an individual struggle,
Yeah, and one thing that interests me about this film is that you're talking about like this whole like sort of tabloid politics sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's very prevalent within the last decade at least. And I feel like it's interesting how this being like one of the first examples of that reflects somewhat recent history. And this is a Jason Reitman film too, and I think he's a very talented director. I love Juno. I think Up in the Air is such a great film. But I'm looking at this one, and reading some of the reviews. I feel like overall this is probably going to be a more minor film in his entry, unfortunately. So I mean, I'm sure it'll get some attention. I think Hugh Jackman will get maybe get some kind of awards attention. But overall, I think it does look good.
But yeah, I think just to add on to that, like I agree with what you're saying, and I also think that like it's going to be smaller, and probably not a lot of people are going to remember it. But I think the people who do see it are going to like it.
Yes.
Or it looks like it's well made, you know.
Yeah, I feel like it definitely has a certain niche to it. I don't think it'll be for every single person, but
Yeah.
it'll get some attention. Oh, by the way, Bill Burr being in the trailer. Nice little
was
surprise for
gonna
me.
bring that
I
up.
did not see that coming.
I hope he has more scenes. 'Cause he's
That'd be
hilarious.
really interesting. I want to see how he does in a dramatic role, depending on how big his.
I'm also excited to see J.K. Simmons.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
I, mean,
yeah,
I don't think he's gonna be
that's
throwing
right.
chairs at anyone like
Fair-
Whiplash, but I think he'll be good too.
I don't think he's gonna be cursing Spider-Man either, but you never know.
So moving on to our next preview, we're going to be looking at Vice, which is about Dick Cheney during the 2000 election. And Christian Bale is playing Dick Cheney. I don't know what. That's a poor decision for his health, I think. Like, he gained like 40 pounds for this role. I'm like, oh my God, he's yo-yoing with his body. It's not good.
Yeah.
And like I think what looks really great is looks like, of course, he gained the weight, the makeup that they put on him. Again, he's unrecognizable.
I know.
I couldn't believe it was him.
It's insane. Like going between like American Psycho and like The Machinist and Batman and like what was the one American. There was one with what's her face? Jennifer Lawrence. That one. Never mind.
Oh, American Hustle.
Yeah, American Hustle.
Great movie.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't know. He does a lot with it. It's weird.
Yeah, but it's spot on.
He's got a very flexible
is-
metabolism.
He does.
or
He does.
whatever the word
It's
is.
crazy.
But of course, Christian Bale, I think he's going to be great. I saw Sam Rockwell as George W. Bush, and I could not believe. I'm like, oh my God. Like
That was an interesting casting
I
choice.
read that he was going to be cast. I'm like, oh my God. And it just clicked. I'm like, that's a perfect fit. At least in my opinion, I think that's a perfect fit to play George W. Bush. Because I saw that Josh Brolin was, played him a while ago, and I watched the trailer. And again, like maybe if I watch the movie, I'll think
that's
differently.
strange.
But I saw the trailer with him a while ago. I was just like, I don't know. I didn't really get it with him. I saw it with Sam Rockwell. I'm like, oh my God, that's number 43 right there. I think he's a perfect fit for this. I think he's gonna be terrific.
With Andy McKay too, or Adam McKay, sorry.
Adam McKay.
The movie's gonna be funny. So,
Oh, yeah.
and it looks like they got a great cast for that, for the comedy aspect of the film.
I think so too. And it's funny, you say like, it's definitely gonna be funny. I think it's really interesting when you look at Adam McKay's filmography, how he's evolved over the years from like, Anchorman
Yeah,
and
for
Step
sure.
Brothers, which, of course, I like those movies too. But he's evolved from like the plainly comedic movies to taking on more serious topics.
Yeah.
Taking on more drama too, while still adding the comedy in there. Because he also did The Big Short, which I think is another terrific film.
He also done the Ant-Man sequels, the Ant-Man 1 and 2.
He didn't do
really?
it. No, he didn't know.
Yeah,
that was I believe that was Peyton Reed, and I don't know who did the second one, but no, he didn't do that one. But I think one of the things that does have me a bit worried is that I'm worried that like it'll be that given Adam McKay's like personal politics, I'm worried that it'll just like sway too much to one side rather than just like give a straight story or like give a straight fictional story.
I think the performances are really what's going to drive this movie.
I could definitely see that because the cast definitely looks very, very stacked to say the least.
Definitely.
Steve Carell's in there.
Oh yeah, Steve Carell. Steve Carell is Donald
Forgot about that.
Rumsfeld. Yeah. I almost forgot about Steve.
It's pretty crazy.
Okay, so Vice hits theaters December 21st.
The Frontrunner will be out on November 9th.
And Halloween is in theaters now.
Thanks for watching. See you next time on Red Storm Reel.